Hello, everybody. Mike from Southern California again, and you're on the mic. And today I'm going to be covering the first two parts of Vic's deposition. I'm going to go over it. Hopefully I won't take too long. Super long. Covering two of Nick's streams, giving at least enough detail to understand the basics and get my basic points across. But here we go. So it started off with the introductions, everybody's introductions, and we were getting a bit into Vic's background initially. One of the things that was talked about was that he did teach at a Christian school, but it wasn't the one everybody, it was at a Christian school in Florida. Now, this is important because this goes back to Michelle McConnell Blankenship's accusation against him, that he tried to engage with her. Claiming that he was a teacher at her school in Virginia, and this basically just torpedoes that whole thing. I mean, I think it was thanks to Jordan Eshelman, who also helped to debunk that when they were coming out with those photos about a month ago. Also, another thing that came out of the first part of that deposition was some of Vic's fans calling him Fuhrer. Lemoyne was trying to make the argument that they were calling him Fuhrer in reference to Adolf Hitler, which was not the case. For those of you who are not aware of Full Metal Alchemist Kanan, Fuhrer is the title used in the show as the leader of the country of Risenbul, a la Fuhrer Bradley. So, it was something that was said years ago. Vic never thought anything more of it. They still don't call him that to this day. So, that's what that whole hoopla about. Then 25 minutes into it, lo and behold, that's when they start going after the GoFundMe. And Lemoyne was trying to link Vic and Nick together in some kind of collusion to cheat fans out of their money by, getting fans to donate to the GoFundMe. He was trying to also stick a wedge in between Vic and Nick, because Vic acknowledged that Nick was a friend, even though he'd never met him before. Lemoyne was trying to get him, well, how can he be your friend if you'd never met him before? Why would you trust this guy? Well, because what Nick did in starting that GoFundMe was an act of charity, was an act of friendship. Of course, Vic is going to call him a friend instantly the idea of charity is giving of yourself with no expectation of return. Nick has tried to keep this whole thing above board. That's why he doesn't. That's why even when people ask, he doesn't. Make the donations to it himself, because it would look bad for their cause, for the cause. Okay, many on the other side have accused Nick of trying to grift, but the fact is that Nick, aside from just being the contact, really has nothing more to do with the GoFundMe, because once Ty was hired on, they linked the GoFundMe to an IOLTA account in Texas, insurance on legal trust account. Vic wasn't sure about this because he didn't feel right taking money from fans until Nick explained to him that the fans wanted to do this. The fans, including myself, voluntarily gave their money because we feel that what is being done to Vic is wrong. And we do want to support him in all this. He shouldn't have his life burned down. And if it means it takes some money to help make sure that his life doesn't get burned down and he can regain some of his reputation back after these people defamed it, then we're all in agreement and support of it. Then we get into the part where, Lemoyne started asking Vic about whether or not some of the people involved were trustworthy. Whether Vic knew certain people and whether or not they were trustworthy. Started out with Michelle Specht, his former fiance. Of course, there were some, obviously, well, I haven't seen any evidence that Michelle's really heavily involved in all this. She might, because of how things may have gone down and some of the infidelity that was talked about in the second part of the deposition. She may not, let's say, be happy with Vic. And then the interesting thing, Stan Dolan's name, who's a con runner, who's the founder of Kawaii Con. He worked also with AAWA. In case of Stan Dolan's situation, Vic said he found him to be trustworthy. Now, the reason Stan Dolan is important because this is the guy who supposedly saved Monica from Vic assaulting her. Supposedly, when Vic was about to assault Monica, Stan knocked on the door and asked Monica if she was okay after seeing her distress. Only we found out in the last few days here, and over the last week, that Stan may have a very different account of that story. No wonder the defense didn't bring him in to say anything. He apparently has a very different accounting of that story. Chuck Huber was stated to be a friend. I'll get into him in a few minutes here. Then there was Chris Slatosh and the drama over Kamea-Con. Greg Ayers was brought up during the deposition of whether or not he was trustworthy. Todd Haberkorn was also brought. Todd Haberkorn and Vic, some people would argue that they're frenemies. In other words, they are good friends, but they also have a very strong rivalry there. Now, going on to Greg Ayers as well. Now, something I didn't know until the deposition here. Not that it really matters. It's his own business. But, Greg, from what I recently found out, came out in 2016 as being gay. There's I guess, issues between Greg and Vic because Greg being gay and Vic being a conservative Christian. If you want more of an understanding of the animosity there, I would suggest you all look in the Bible and look up the book of Leviticus chapter 18. That might help you understand and this also go towards some of his interactions with people like Jamie McGonigal and other people who have come out as gay. So if you want to have a better understanding of that. Let's see. Also, Kara Edwards was mentioned. Chris Sabat was mentioned as, Vic basically saying that he wasn't honest, wasn't an honest person. Coming to find out that Sabat for years has been talking behind Vic's back. Kara Edwards is one of the accusers brought up in the IO9 article. So that's all for the first part of the deposition. Then part 2 of the deposition started off with we're talking about Chuck Huber trying to and going back to the whole idea of Vic being a good judge of character. The fact that he's lost some confidence in that, I think, may hurt him in the future. Because I think one of the things that Lemoyne and Casey Eric will try to suggest is that, if he doesn't feel that any of these people are honest people, what have you, that he's a good judge of character, well, maybe Nick isn't a good person either. it might try to further drive that wedge between him and Nick by suggesting, well, if he doesn't feel that he's a good judge of character, then how can he say that Nick, well, I've already explained all that. Nick has acted like a friend, like a true friend to Vic. That's why you could instantly call him a friend. So moving on to the part 2 of Vic's deposition. Of course, we first open up with Chuck trying to help reconcile the situation. Ended up, nobody basically was going to agree with it. And the thing, one of the other aspects that came out of this was that basically what Chuck had tried to do in the reconciliation was in essence what Monica and Jamie and Ron had been saying, and Shane and on the people on their side were saying what Vic needed to do was just, when they were coming out and saying, oh, Vic is family, we just want him to get help, this, that, and the next thing. Well, that's basically what Chuck was doing, and they said no. They said no. So that goes towards what their true intent was. They're constantly lying. Then from there, we talk about the conventions, about whether or not Vic has ever been banned from conventions. He's never really been banned from any conventions. The point was Lemoyne was trying to say, well, the reason he didn't get invited to certain conventions this year is because he was banned because of the accusations, and that's not the case. As Vic pointed out, conventions usually don't make it a habit of inviting the same guest, multiple years in a row. They'll usually take 2 or 3 years off to basically give people a chance. And Lemoyne didn't like that answer. He did not like, because it didn't fit his narrative. It didn't fit what he was trying to prove. A lot of the conventions he had asked Vic about had invited him within the last 2 or 3 years. Therefore, probably wouldn't be inviting him again for at least another year. So that, that didn't go over too well for Mr. Lemoyne. And then, of course, we get into the investigation, into, his relationship with the production companies. Came out in the deposition that Rooster Teeth fired him without an investigation. In fact, some email that was accidentally sent to Vic, that was not meant for Vic to see, but was accidentally sent to him, was apparently they were the higher ups at Rooster Teeth were basically saying, okay, we're all in agreement that nobody is to respond to Vic, right? And then we saw an email exchange between Monica Rial and Matt Hullum, in which she had thanked Rooster Teeth for supporting her and backing her up, which just, again, goes towards the whole civil conspiracy aspect of the lawsuit, as well as the tortious interference with existing contract. And then when we get into the Funimation, the 3 incidents that we're talking about were, of course, the Jelly Bean incident with Monica, what ended up being a consensual kiss with a Funimation employee who was identified in the video as Miss Purple, and then the twins, in which Vic was under the impression that they were attracted to him and maybe have wanted to engage with him. Once he got them up to the room and he made them aware of what he believed, they said no, that was not the case, and that was the end of it. They left, and and so be it. He didn't force himself on it. In any and all these cases, they were consensual situations. And then, of course, everybody knows about the jelly bean incident. You know, we've talked about it on several occasions. And the underlying problem with the jelly bean, well, okay, anybody who assumes that that comment was sexual has some issues with their thought process. Okay, they had some serious issues of thought process. And also, it could be argued too. It could, even though it was before Monica got involved with the Dragon Ball franchise, could also be argued that it could be a Dragon Ball reference because of how Boo used to, you know, turn people into candy and eat them. So, you know, the fact that he commented, "Oh, you can say that I ate Monica," because some people are trying to make the argument that he was suggesting that he committed oral copulation on Monica, which was not the case. That's not what he was intending, and anybody with a brain, I think, should figure that out. Would be able to figure that out. There was nothing sexual about that, which goes towards a bigger issue involving the whole Me Too movement, the whole Kick Vic movement, and this whole idea of sexualizing and criminalizing any and all forms of affection. Okay? That's just idiocy. To assume that a hug or a kiss on the forehead is sexual, especially when the person receiving the kiss or the hug is asking for it, is stupid. And the problem with when you have people making false accusations, it makes it that much harder for people who legitimately are assaulted. Because trust is hard to build but very easy to break. And all it takes is one bad apple, one false accusation, to cast doubt on every accusation there has ever been, is, or ever was, ever is, or will be. Okay? And then, so from there, and then Monica, then Vic, you know, after he was fired from Funimation, he tried to reach out to Monica to find out what was going on, because at the time, he didn't know what was even going on, why she was so angry like this, why she was this vindictive over this. He had no idea. And then she forwarded it to Colleen, you know. Now, the email did say Colleen Carroll. For those of you who don't know, that's Colleen Klinkenbeard. Carroll is her married name. So, just in case you people didn't know who she was referring to there. Vic sat, you know, but he was trying to reconcile. Monica just wasn't having it. And then later, of course, you know, Lemoyne tried to, you know, because Vic did talk about the idea of changing his policy in terms of his interactions with fans to be more careful. Because now Vic, unfortunately, has had to be reminded, because of all this, of an old Christian principle of the idea of being above reproach and not putting himself to where now, if somebody does ask for a hug, and he will only do this with adults now, where if they do ask him for a hug, what he'll do is he'll ask him, "You heard that, right? You heard that. You heard that she asked me for a hug, right?" And if the handler can, then he's got somebody now who can say, "Yes, this is how it happened." So that person who asked for the hug can't come back 5-10 years from now and say, "Oh, he assaulted me because of that hug." Unfortunately, in the world we live in today, that's the unfortunate with this whole idea of sexualizing and criminalizing any and all forms of affection. It's crazy. It's just absolute idiocy. And then towards the end, of course, things started getting more heated because Lemoyne was trying to suggest that during a Discord during a Discord chat that Vic was rallying the reasonable Rangers to go out and harass people. That's not what he was doing. He was asking them to counter all the negative talk and all the negative actions with the positive experiences, which were probably a lot more than those negative ones. As he had pointed out throughout much of his deposition, many times people who, you know, their lives, they don't like their lives suck, so they can't bring anything positive to the world. So what they do is, instead of trying to lift others up and lift people up, there'll be these people out there who will try to bring people down. You know, one of the things is by just trash talking people. Anyways, I'm already over 20 minutes here, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Let's see. Check the links below. If you want to contact me directly, you can. My Twitter handle will be down there. As you guys know, I've been promoting Fantasy Soft and the GoFundMe's. Check all that stuff out. Fantasy Soft, you know, hired on Vic. They've got some good stuff to look forward to. Also, just remember, you know, and always remember when it comes to Vic's GoFundMe or any GoFundMe's, you're never obligated to donate. If you feel on your heart that you want to donate, please consider donating. If you've already donated, please consider donating again. And if you can't donate, at least share it so that maybe there are people in your network who may feel like they want to help out and contribute. But never feel pressure to do it, guys, because Vic wouldn't want that. Nick doesn't want that. Nobody wants that. Help where you can. If you can donate, you know, consider donating. If you cannot donate, at least help by sharing it. Those are the two best ways you can help in that situation. And as always, when you're around Vic, always spread your love and positivity towards him if you see him at cons, and help to spread the positive side of things, whether it be online or out in public. And if you like this content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I always look forward to the back and forth. I always look forward to talking to you guys and having the positive exchanges. I won't put up with anything nasty, so just to give you guys a heads up. But, you know, we can speak to each other respectfully and intelligently. And until tomorrow, guys, bye.